Hello, classic country songs and a classic hit here that you don't want to miss. So stick around for it. Hello, I'm Donald Witt, the bass instructor of the How to Play Bass online course at iwannaPlayBass.com. Jump over there, subscribe when you're serious about your bass playing, sign up. And this is I Want to Play Bass on your YouTube channel for everything bass. So subscribe as well down below. Hit that bell notification, get in the loop, and don't miss a beat. Now today we're talking about classic country songs, and this is a classic hit back in the 80s. This actually was Waylon Jennings. It topped the charts in Canada, and it got as high as number 7 here in the States. And it's a great song and everything. Waylon Jennings just had a way of just a way of delivering a song, and it's definitely one you want to hear. And it was written by J.J. Cale, and he actually recorded it and put it on his album Naturally. The album was named Naturally, and I'll leave a link down below. You can check that out as well. It's a different feel, but still a good song. And it was also done by Dr. Hook. They put some a little more flash into it. If you want me to break that down, leave me a comment down below. I'll break that song down as well for you, if you're interested. But if you're familiar with Dr. Hook, then you might want to hear it. It's they definitely, the bass line, they really made the bass line prevalent in that song, where Waylon Jennings did too as well, but it's not as much. Like you'll see, it skips every other verse, and there's not a lick in there. But the licks that are in there are just cool, and it definitely delivers that song nicely the way that bass is played on that particular song. So that's a little bit about it. The Dr. Hook album was Pleasure and Pain, which came out in 1978. I'll leave that link down here too. You can check that out also. And the Waylon Jennings link will be below too. You can play along with it also. So he released his off the album Music Man, which I'm playing my Music Man, so kind of cool idea how it all works together. But he released his in 1980, and like I say, that song was his first single released off of that album, and it went number 1 in Canada, but it made it as far as number 7 here. So still definitely impressive and a great song to listen to. Good grooving classic country song that we all love, and that's what you're going to get today. So hope you enjoy it, and I'll break it down for you when we're done. All right. Alright, so hope you enjoyed that. Now we'll get into the bass line so you can learn those cool licks, because it's pretty fun and it's definitely a cool song to play. But I shortened it. I just played the licks because in the song he actually plays those bass licks come in every other verse. So there's 3 times, and there's 2 verses that have no bass licks in them at all. So there's 5 verses, and then in between there's choruses, and then there's a 4-bar intro, which is basically the verse, still the verse chord progression, and that's it. But like I said, it's in the key of C, and it starts on D, and he's just basically doing your typical standard country move, the 1 and the 5, the D to the A. You're doing the D to the A, and then in the very first verse he does a couple licks, and the first lick is going to be, there's 3 licks in the verse. There's 4 parts to the verse, but there's the first 3 parts have the bass lick, and then the last part leads us into the chorus. So there's only 3 licks per verse, and it's every other verse. So the first verse has the 3 licks are going to be C, D. We're using the C, D, G, A, C, D. We're using those a lot. We're in the key of C, so there's no flats or no sharps. So it's pretty easy, and there's not a lot of thirds. It's basically working off fifths intervals and fourth intervals. Not a whole lot more than that. But it's cool sounding stuff, and it's definitely fun. It's definitely something that you can utilize this in your style of playing, and it works perfectly. Especially in country, these are ideal moves. Okay, so like I said, in the first verse, the very first lick is going to be it uses the same thing, but they're either ascending or descending. So I've written it down here so I can remember, because I just figured it out just a little while ago. So the first lick in the first verse is going to be, he does little kind of like pull-offs, and you got to remember your ghost notes in this. He does that a lot, so just to keep it funky and keep it grooving. And like we said, what makes you move? The groove. Okay, so he works it good. And so like I said, the very first lick is, okay, that's the lick. It's pulling off from the D to C, and then from the A to G, and then he does the ghost note, that rhythm there, and that's C to D. Okay, so that's the first lick. Then the second lick, and then he goes right back into this, right back into the normal section, and then one bar. It's just 2 bars right there. So it's every 2 bars you do a lick. Okay, so the first lick you got, and the second lick you've got. You see the second lick we've got, we're like a hammer on. Instead of pulling from the D to C, we're hammering from the C to D. But here he doesn't do he does still got that rhythm as we talk about phrasing. And if you didn't, I've got a bass solo video here. I'll leave a card up here. You can check that out. But it talks about phrasing, how to use your phrasing. You can play one note, but the rhythmical phrasings you use make a huge difference. So that's what he's done here. He's done hammer-ons, C to D, G to A, and then he does C to D, A to D. It's still the same rhythm. If you were to look at it and notated, it'd still be the same rhythm. Okay, so it's the same thing, just different notes. So same rhythm. He keeps that groove in there, and that's what makes this song. That's what makes songs, is just the groove, just that simple rhythm that you're playing, and that's all it is. So that's lick number 2. Now lick number 3, change up the groove just a little bit, and he just does the octave D, gets a little more rhythm going on here, and he does those ghost notes. Okay, and that's just D, D, and then G to A, and then he does the ghost notes, and then E to D, he brings it down. Okay, so that's the third lick of that first verse. Now the second verse, there's no licks at all. It's just, you're doing the 1 and 5. That is all he's doing. He's just keeping it real, 1 and 5. And then the third verse, so, okay, let me go into the chorus. So sorry about that. Almost forgot about the chorus. So after the first verse, they go into a chorus. And the chorus has a little groove to it as well. It's so 3 times he does that rhythm. C to G, ghost note, C to D. Three times. Fourth time he just stays C to G. And then right back to D. And then he stays on the D to A the entire second verse. No licks, no nothing going on. So then it goes, does that, then does a chorus again. Okay, so it does a chorus, and then we go into the third verse, which we have three licks again, and they're similar to the first verse, but they're a little bit slightly different. The feel, where these are kind of staccato, meaning just real short notes, most of them. This verse, okay, so it's not as many ghost notes going on, but the very first lick of the second verse, he just slides the C to G, C to D, G to A, and then does that same line that he did. It's the same feel, but it's the second lick of the first verse. Okay, so it's just C, D, A, D. Okay. Okay, so that's the second lick of the second verse. Now the third verse, I'm sorry, not the third verse, the third lick. So that's the first lick of the second verse. The second lick of the second verse is the same as the last lick, same as the first verse, third lick. Okay, hopefully not get too confusing, but just we'll get through it though. Not too difficult. Like, we'll break down again, but so hopefully that's clear. Okay, so we've got the second lick is going to be, so there's some staccato stuff. So it's like the third lick of the first verse, but only instead of the E to D, they're going C to D. Still going to D, but they're coming from C this time instead of E. Okay. Okay, so that's the second lick of the second verse. Now the third lick of the second verse is he does pull-offs. That's all. Just pull off. D to C, G to A, C to D. Okay. So that's actually the third verse with the bass licks, because the second verse has no bass licks. The first verse has licks. Second verse no licks. Third verse has licks. And the fourth verse has no licks. Fifth verse is we're fading out, and it's, there's only two licks in here because they're just fading out. So it faded out before I could get down the other ones. But they keep the idea going, but they're just they're just fading out. So like I say, we've got the fifth verse, and we're fading out. So there's one little lick before the lick starting all this. So it's kind of like the chorus. After they've done the chorus, they've come back to the D, to the verse, and then he just does that real quick, C to D, some ghost notes, and then they go into the fading out and the licks there. But they've got two cool ones here that are different than the other verses. So the first lick in the fifth verses, so we're just doing this, and then we do the hammer on, and then he just does D, A, D. Okay, so that's all he does there, which it gives it a little, it gives it a little bounce, which is kind of cool. That D, A to D just bounces it back and forth, which, in your bass lines, if you can get that bounce going on, it's going to get that groove even that much more interesting. So you can get it bouncing like that, that's cool. Now the second lick, and this is the last lick, is going to be, actually starts on G, kind of a hammer on the A. So that's just a hammer on, G, A, D, G, A, and then C to D, and then that's pretty much it right there. Okay, so some cool licks there, definitely cool licks. Get them down. Play. This is Clyde. It's actually a song about guy. Clyde plays electric bass, and his dog sings harmonies with him. So you know he's got an old hound dog out there howling harmonies with him, and you know he's just a bad dude. So check it out. It's a popular song, and been done a couple other times, which I mentioned before. So check those versions out too. All right. So hope you got some value out of this. If you did, mash that like button for me. Help me help you, and I'll catch y'all on the flip flop in the next video. So bye for now.